Today we're going to be going over 3 routes that all wide receivers need to learn. So the first route is going to be something called a box corner route, or you could think of it as like an inside stem corner route. So I'm going to play this full speed and then we'll break it down. So this is how you would run a corner route from the outside wide receiver spot, especially when you're on the numbers and you need to take an inside release on this corner route, and we're going to break down why. Now, obviously, quarterback underthrows this thing. We need a better ball from the quarterback, but let's break down this route because this is a very unguardable route, especially if you run it correctly. So let's say, for example, the play concept. You guys have probably all seen this play concept in Madden where we have like that play called corner strike, right? Where you have your outside receiver do this inside stem for 5, bursts up to 10, then he breaks to the corner, and then your slot receiver is running a flat route, for example, right? So usually that's like kind of like a reverse smash concept. They call it a smash concept because normally you'd be reading the corner, right? If the corner sits in the flats with this flat route, which essentially would be like a cover 2 look, as a quarterback, you throw to the outside wide receiver on a line before that safety can get there. Now, if it's man-to-man coverage, obviously that changes. I don't like throwing a flat route against press man coverage because usually it's going to be tighter coverage, receiver's not really making a move, and then being able to create space. I would like to throw this corner route because that's a better man coverage beater. Now, if I'm running a corner route and I'm on the numbers, ideally if I'm running a corner from the slot, and it's not this inside stem corner or box corner route, I would love to take an outside release, especially when I have a DB who's lined up in head-up coverage. I would want to close the space with him, attack his toes, give him a fake to the inside, and then work to the outside and just break out. It'd be simple, it'd be easy. But since I'm lined up on the numbers, I don't have that kind of space. I need to give the quarterback space to throw me open. So this corner route, what you would do is you're taking a hard stem inside for 5 yards. And you see how this receiver puts the brakes on, makes a hard cut right at 5. Then you stem vertical up for another 10 yards. So it is a 15-yard corner route. Then at 10 yards right there, which is 15 yards total, then you break back to the corner route, giving your quarterback all kinds of space to throw us open. Now, one of the common mistakes that wide receivers will make on this box corner route, inside stem corner route, is that they will bypass the press release. What they'll do is they'll just run to the inside for 5, burst up to 10, and then cut. And that is a great way to get this DB to be sitting right on your outside hip, not being able to create any separation, running a corner route with this guy underneath us, which is a very, very tough throw for that quarterback. So if I come up to the line of scrimmage and I got a guy who's in head-up press, but he's giving me maybe about a yard, yard and a half of space, what do I have to do with that space? I have to close the space. I got to make sure that I eat up the cushion. If I close the space and I attack, and I'm almost stepping on his toes, giving him a fake to the outside, it makes it easier for me to do something called getting skinny. Getting skinny is when a wide receiver runs right past a DB's hip. We're trying to run as tight as we can to him, and getting skinny allows us to restack. Because on this inside stem corner route versus press man, it is very, very important that we restack. Because if this receiver just gives a quick jab off the line of scrimmage, yeah, the DB jumps to the outside, but when we try to release inside, because there's a gap of space, he can cut off my angle, and then we're right back to where we started. So we have to eat up the space. We got to try to step on the toes, then give my fake to the outside, so I get right past his hip, and then use my speed to be able to stack over the top of him and give him a move at the top. And again, not only will this give me separation like so, but it gives the quarterback room to throw me open. At the end of the day, if you run a quarterback-friendly route and give him space, that is very, very tough for any defender to cover. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Textbook box corner right there where you're breaking at 5 inside, bursting up stem to 10, and then breaking back out to the corner. So now, we're going to be going over a goal line specific route next. But before we get into that, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you guys would like a daily off-season training schedule to follow, check out that very first link in the description below for our elite wide receiver training package. What you'll get access to is 8 weeks of on-field drills for wide receivers. It covers route running, press releases, catching, everything that we're going over in this video, but made into drills to help you actually apply it. We break it down. Monday you're doing this, Tuesday you're doing that, give you the exact sets and reps and video examples of each drill. Then we give you an additional 2-month-long gym workout plan for receivers with receiver-specific gym exercises, and then we also include a 4-week speed development workout plan because ultimately at the wide receiver position, speed is insanely important. So if you need to get faster, want to improve your skills, guys, check out that very first link in the description below for, again, our elite wide receiver training package. Let's get back to this video. So now, second route here is going to be a slant route versus a DB who is just sitting maybe slightly inside shade in the red zone, and he's maybe about like 4 yards off, 5 yards off, I would say, right? So let's play this thing full speed and then we'll break down. Maybe like 3 to 4 yards off. So this wide receiver does a great job of running kind of like a stemmed slant route with an open field crossover. So let's talk about it, right? So if I have like press coverage inside shade and I have to run a slant route, obviously this isn't going to work, right? Because if he's press coverage inside shade and my game plan is just to work to the inside, get inside him, give him a quick move and run my slant, that DB's not going to give up the inside so easily, right? What I would do is if he was walked down and he was inside shade press right in front of my face, I would attack his outside shoulder and outside hip for 3 hard steps, try to get him to open up his hips to a fade ball, especially because I'm in the red zone. Maybe I peek back with my eyes to look back to the quarterback, and then when that DB jumps, I could slip back underneath him. That's when he's pressed right up in my face. Now, let's say, for example, now he's 4 yards away. 3 yards away. My game plan can't be run at his outside shoulder for 3 hard steps because I'm not closing enough space. That doesn't necessarily really threaten him. I'm not closing enough distance with him. Now, I can't do this also. Close the space with him, then work to the outside for 3 steps because that's going to take too long. You're running a 3-step slant. So this is the only exception where you have a guy who's maybe inside shade and you would stem him to the inside or try to attack his toes. If he's 3 to 4 yards off and you have to run a 3-step slant. So what this wide receiver does is he comes off the ball and he attacks him. He squares up this DB. Now, if from a DB perspective, as soon as this wide receiver starts to attack him and stem him, what that DB should do is start to keep his leverage to the inside and shade to the inside a little bit. This DB is giving us a gift right now by just sitting here and letting us take the inside. Honestly, this wide receiver could just stem and run. He doesn't even have to give a move. This DB needs to make sure that he keeps that leverage. But even if that DB keeps that leverage, this is my only, literally my only option on this play because it's going to take too long. So your crossover move has to be on point, especially if that DB keeps his leverage. So this open field crossover is a lot like a rocker step, right? So I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with a rocker step that you would use on a post route or a corner route, right? That's where you step in the direction you're going first. If you're running a post, you step with your inside foot first, fake back to the outside to try to get the DB to jump to a corner, an out route, and then go. Open field crossover is essentially that, but it's not like in rhythm, I guess you could say. It's not in rhythm with the route. It's more like we give kind of a foot fire, we square up the DB, and again, we give the first move. We step in the direction that I'm going first, but it's a short step. It's an explosive step. It's inside of your frame because what we have to do to be able to sell the outside fake is I got to push off of this step. So if we hit that open field crossover, hard cut, push off of it, hips and shoulders sell to the outside, trying to make him think we're running some type of quick goal line fade to get him to jump, and then we all of a sudden got space over the middle. But a diamond release would not work in this situation, you guys, because the DB is just simply too far. Us closing the space, then working a diamond release also would not work because it's going to take too long. So, guys, this is a great way to run that slant route when you have a DB who's sitting slightly inside shade, 3 to 4 yards off. Let's play this again full speed one more time. Great job by this receiver hitting that open field crossover and then winning on that slant. All right, so now, next example, we're going to be talking about how you guys can run a deep 10 to 12 yard speed out route or deep 10 to 12 yard out route versus a DB who's sitting inside shade, off-man coverage at about 7 yards, okay? So now, let's talk about this, you guys. If we have a DB who's inside shade, whether he's in press coverage, whether he's in catch man 2 to 3 yards off, or whether he's in off-man 6 to 7 yards off, we know his goal is to prevent what? His goal is to prevent the inside route. He wants to prevent the inside route and force me to the outside. So one of the main problems that a lot of wide receivers will do in one-on-ones and game-realistic situations is that they'll see this DB playing inside shade and they have an outside breaking route like a fade route, like a corner, like an out route, and they'll just take off and go run. But guys, you got to understand, his goal is don't let us go inside, but also force us outside. So if we just take off and run here to the outside and run my out route, DB's going to be right on my hip, and his goal is to force me to that sideline. So the quarterback doesn't have any room, and the quarterback will not throw that, you guys. So we have to almost do like an inside stem, very similar to that box corner that we talked about. So this wide receiver does a great job of attacking the DB's leverage, stemming him to the inside, making him think we're running an inside breaking route to give the quarterback room to the outside. Guys, honestly, the way I look at off-man coverage is it is a gift if you know what to do with your stem, right? So again, the best way to get a DB to move and create separation for yourself, make him think you're running where he does not want you to go. If you start to stem to the inside like this, that DB is told, Don't give up the inside. So he has to honor his leverage. He has to move to the inside. He has to keep his leverage. And then when you make a cut, it doesn't even need to be the greatest cut. It doesn't even need to be a great rocker step cut. It just be a one cut and go. But guys, you see all the space that he created for himself and created for the quarterback simply because of his stem. So guys, make sure that when we have inside shade coverage, whether it's press, catch, or off man, I don't just take off and go run. We have to attack his leverage somewhat when I have an outside breaking route. Like for example, guys, let's use an example. Let's say he's right up in our face press coverage and we have to run a fade route. Don't just go run, guys. He's going to get right into my hip and squeeze me to that sideline. Attack him. Make him think where you're going, where he doesn't want me to go, and you will be surprised how easy it will be to get separation and how easy it will be for that quarterback to get you the ball.